Meghan Markle, girl, sit down because this story has layers and not the cute kind. So listen, Tom Bower, yeah, that Tom Bower who wrote Betrayal, he's not whispering anymore. He's basically standing in the middle of the room like, I told y'all this was coming, and now everything he's been hinting at for years, it's starting to look a little too real. Let's start with the money, because you know money never lies. Tom Bower has been saying for a while that Meghan Markle and Prince Harry built this whole post-royal life on deals that looked shiny on the outside, but had no real depth. And now, one by one, those deals are just disappearing. The Netflix situation? Dead energy. It was supposed to be this big empire-building move, right? Documentaries, shows, influence, all of that. But what actually came out of it? Not enough to keep the machine running? And Tom Bower's take was brutal but simple. Meghan didn't have anything new to offer. Then there's Spotify, a massive deal. Everyone hyped it up like Meghan Markle was about to dominate podcasting. And what did we get? A handful of episodes, and then silence. When a company like Spotify walks away from that kind of money, that's not a small failure. That's them saying, yeah, this isn't working. And don't even get me started on that lifestyle brand. American Riviera Orchard. The jam situation? It launched like it was going to be the next big thing. Aesthetic photos, celebrity gifting, the whole Pinterest perfect vibe. But where's the actual business? Where's the sales? It's giving pretty but empty. Now, here's the part that really makes people uncomfortable. Tom Bower keeps repeating this number. At least £3 million a year just to maintain their lifestyle. Minimum. That's just to keep the house. Security, staff, travel, all of it running. And that's before you add PR teams, legal battles, brand launches, everything else. So the real number? Way higher. So naturally, the question becomes, if the money going out is insane and the money coming in is drying up, what happens next? Because in the US, when numbers don't add up like that, people start asking questions. Real questions. Not gossip, not rumors. Actual financial scrutiny. And that's where Tom Bower's been pointing for a while now. He literally said they were burning through cash and didn't have a solid plan to sustain it. At the time, people rolled their eyes. Now, it's starting to look like he clocked it early. Then there's Prince Harry's visa situation, which honestly, how has this not been talked about more? Because, let's be real, Harry himself admitted in his own book to using drugs. Not rumors, not speculation, his own words. And US immigration laws are not soft about that kind of thing. Regular people get denied visas for way less. So naturally, people are like, okay, so what's different here? Why is Prince Harry living comfortably in California with zero transparency about how that all got approved? The Heritage Foundation even tried to get access to his visa records, and that request got blocked, which only made things look more suspicious. And Tom Bower's take on Harry? He didn't hold back. He basically said Harry showed a complete lack of awareness about how serious those admissions were, like a schoolboy who didn't realize the consequences. Now think about this. If that visa situation ever gets properly investigated, it's not just a small issue. It affects everything. Their entire life in America depends on Harry being legally allowed to stay. The house, the brand deals, the whole setup, all of it. And here's where things start getting even messier. Because it's not just money or legal stuff anymore. There are questions, and yeah, I know this part gets sensitive, but there are questions being raised about timelines, about public records, about things that just don't line up cleanly. And people aren't just brushing it off anymore. What's interesting is how the conversation itself is changing. A year ago, if you said any of this out loud, you'd get labeled crazy or obsessed. Now, mainstream voices are starting to at least acknowledge the questions. Not fully dive in, but definitely not ignoring it like before. And that shift, that's what Tom Bower was always banking on. Because his whole thing has been, if you follow the details long enough, the cracks eventually show. And right now, it's not just one crack, it's multiple things happening at the same time. Money issues, legal questions, public opinion dropping hard, it's all converging. And Meghan Markle, she's right at the center of it. And that's where things start getting even more uncomfortable because once you look past the money and the legal stuff, people are now digging into Meghan Markle's past in a way that just wasn't happening before. And I'm not talking about surface level gossip. I'm talking about timelines, connections, patterns, the kind of stuff that makes people pause and go, wait, this doesn't fully add up. Tom Bower has always been very focused on Meghan's ambition. That's like his core point about her. He describes her as someone who always wanted more, always wanted to level up, always wanted access to bigger rooms, more powerful people. And honestly, that's not even shocking. A lot of people in Hollywood are like that. But what he's saying now is that the way she moved through certain spaces before meeting Prince Harry is finally getting attention. People keep bringing up what they call her Mediterranean years. And for the longest time, this was something that lived in corners of the internet that most people ignored. But now, it's being talked about more openly. The idea that Meghan Markle was part of certain elite social circles, yachts, private events, high net worth connections, isn't being dismissed as quickly anymore. And here's where the shift is really obvious. Before, people would say, did she ever do that? Now the conversation sounds more like, okay, how much of that actually happened? That's a completely different energy. There are also photos that researchers have been circulating for years, placing Meghan in certain locations with certain people at certain times. And the interesting thing isn't just the photos themselves, it's how long they've existed without ever being fully addressed. It's like pieces of a puzzle that were always there, but no one wanted to put them together publicly. Tom Bower has even said that a lot of Meghan's pre-Harry history seems to have been cleaned up. Not in a conspiracy way, but more like selective storytelling, highlighting certain parts, quietly removing others. And again, that's not unusual in celebrity culture. But when people start comparing timelines, inconsistencies start popping up. Then there's the whole question of how Meghan Markle and Prince Harry actually met. Because the official story, it's very clean, very fairy tale. Mutual friend, casual introduction, instant connection, done. But Tom Bower and others have been asking for years if that meeting was actually arranged. Not random, not accidental, but intentional. Like someone made sure Meghan Markle was in the right place, at the right time, in front of Prince Harry. And one name that keeps coming up in that conversation is Marcus Anderson. He's been in their circle from the beginning. And what's interesting is that Meghan has a pattern, according to Tom Bower, of cutting people off pretty quickly. Friends, colleagues, even family. Once they're no longer useful or aligned, she moves on. But Marcus Anderson, he's still there, still close, still connected. And in situations like this, the person who doesn't get cut off is usually the one people start looking at more closely. Because it raises questions, like what role did he actually play? How much influence did he have, and why is he still in the picture when so many others aren't? Now, while all of this is happening, public opinion has been shifting hard. And I mean hard. The latest YouGov numbers, they're brutal. Prince Harry is sitting around 30% approval. Meghan Markle, around 20%. That's not just a dip. That's a collapse. And what makes it even crazier is where Harry used to be. He was one of the most liked members of the royal family at one point. People loved him. He had that fun prince image, relatable, human. And now, the majority of people in the UK view him negatively. Meghan's numbers are even worse. And let's be honest, when your approval rating is that low, brands start backing away. Media deals get harder, opportunities shrink. Because no company wants to tie itself to someone that most people don't trust or like. And that brings everything back to the money again. Because if your public image drops, your earning power drops. And if your earning power drops while your expenses stay sky high, that pressure builds fast. Tom Bower has been saying this for a while too. He basically predicted that once the big deals dried up, they'd hit a wall. And right now, it's looking like they're getting very close to that wall. Then there's the royal side of things. Because while Meghan Markle and Prince Harry are doing their thing in California, the monarchy hasn't forgotten about them. And Tom Bower has been very clear about what he thinks happens next. When Prince William becomes king, he's not going to play nice. According to Bower, William is expected to make clean, decisive moves. Titles? Gone. Connections? Cut. No half measures, no negotiations. Just a full separation. And honestly, when you look at everything that's happened, the interviews, the accusations, the business moves, it's not hard to see why that tension exists. There was even that Australian tour recently, which on the surface looked like another public appearance. But if you really watch it, it felt different. More like a performance than a purpose. Ticketed events, paid access, heavy branding. It didn't feel like traditional royal work. And people noticed. Even Prince Harry's behavior during that trip raised eyebrows. There were moments where he just dipped, left early, didn't stay engaged. And it gave this vibe like he wasn't fully comfortable with what was happening, which only adds another layer to everything. Because now it's not just about Meghan Markle's past or their finances or their public image. It's also about what's happening between them, behind the scenes. And all of it is starting to connect in a way that's getting harder to ignore. And this is where everything kind of comes together. Because when you step back and look at the full picture, not just one rumor, not just one deal falling apart, but everything at once, it starts to feel less like random bad luck and more like a slow unraveling. Tom Bower has always said the same thing in different ways. It's not one big scandal that takes someone down. It's a series of small truths stacking up until the story can't hold itself together anymore. And right now, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry are dealing with that exact situation. You've got the money pressure building in the background. You've got public opinion dropping to a point where brands don't want to touch you. You've got legal questions, not confirmed investigations, but serious enough questions hanging in the air about finances and immigration. And then, layered on top of that, you've got people re-examining Meghan's past, her connections, her timeline, and even how this whole relationship with Harry began. Individually, any one of those things, manageable. Celebrities survive controversy all the time, but all of them hitting at once, that's when it gets messy. And what's really interesting is the timing, because for years, a lot of these conversations were either shut down or just ignored. Major media outlets weren't touching it. Anyone who questioned the narrative was labeled negative or biased. But now, that shield is weakening. You can actually see the shift happening. Journalists who used to defend Meghan Markle are now asking more careful questions. Commentators who avoided the topic are now acknowledging inconsistencies. It's not a full-on takedown, but it's definitely not blind support anymore. And once that shift starts, it's hard to reverse, because the public picks up on it. People start connecting dots on their own. And when the audience starts questioning things, that's when the narrative really begins to lose control. Tom Bower didn't create that shift, but he definitely helped push it. He spent years putting information out there piece by piece, even when people weren't ready to hear it. And now that the environment has changed, all those pieces are being looked at again, differently. Now let's talk about the future, because that's where things get even more serious. If Prince William becomes king sooner rather than later, the situation could change overnight. And Tom Bower has been very direct about this. He believes William won't tolerate the current setup at all. No blurred lines, no half-royal, half-celebrity situation, just a clean break. That means titles could be removed. Any remaining royal privileges? Gone. The connection that Meghan Markle and Prince Harry still use, even subtly, would be officially cut. And if that happens, it changes everything. Because, like it or not, a huge part of their brand is still tied to that royal identity. Without it, they're just another celebrity couple in a very crowded space. And right now, with approval ratings already low, that's not a strong position to be in. Then there's the financial side again. Because maintaining that Montecito lifestyle isn't cheap, and if the income streams don't recover, or new ones don't appear, that pressure only increases. You can only rely on past deals and savings for so long, and this is where Tom Bower's earlier warning comes back into focus. He said they were burning through resources without a clear long-term plan. At the time, it sounded harsh. Now, it sounds like a realistic concern. And let's be honest for a second, Meghan Markle is not someone who likes stepping back. Everything about her story, from the beginning, points to someone who wants to move forward, level up, stay visible. But the problem is, visibility without support turns into exposure. And exposure, when the narrative isn't fully in your control anymore, can be dangerous. Because now, instead of people just watching what you choose to show, they're digging into what you didn't show. And that's the real shift happening here. It's not just about whether specific claims are true or false. It's about the fact that the questions are being asked at all, and by people who were silent before. So the real question isn't even, is everything going to come out? Because at this point, something always comes out. The real question is how much of it comes out and how fast. Because once momentum builds in stories like this, it doesn't slow down easily. More voices join in, more details surface, more angles get explored. And suddenly, it's not one narrative anymore. It's multiple versions competing at the same time, and that's when control is lost. Tom Bower built his entire reputation on finding that gap between the official story and what's actually happening underneath. And whether you agree with him or not on every detail, you can't ignore the fact that a lot of what he pointed out early is lining up with what we're seeing now. So when people ask, is this the beginning of the end for Meghan Markle and Prince Harry? It's not even about drama anymore. It's about pressure, financial pressure, public pressure, institutional pressure. And the truth is, pressure reveals everything. Because at some point, you can't keep performing the same story if the reality behind it doesn't support it anymore. And that's exactly where Meghan Markle and Prince Harry seem to be right now.